2XKO's official release is bringing about a decent number of changes, and with the biggest 2XKO tournament so far only days away, I sat down with Lucien, who will be competing there, to discuss some of the potential broader implications that these changes will have on the game. First, we'll discuss some of the system changes, then we'll break down each character, and finally, we'll give our overall thoughts on Riot's approach to patches so far, and how that philosophy affects the game's longevity. This is a bit of a different video for us, so get cozy, maybe pull up a second screen or multitask, and listen to us yap about fighting games.
So, I've read over these patch notes a bit ago, and my first impression is they are making a lot of good changes to move the game into the right direction. However, I think the metagame is going to stay largely the same. There are going to be a couple exceptions, and I will point them out when we get to them. But I think, spoiler alert, Yasuo, Ahri, and Ekko are still really fucking good. So, we'll see how the system changes and other things alter how other characters end up playing the game. Teemo! And we'll go from there. So let's just start with the system changes. Now that I brought it up, the biggest one being to projectiles, where like most modern fighting games that have come out after 2009, they now go away when the point character gets hit, with a few exceptions that are on screen, like Jinx S1 Super, like Braum S1 Super, and Poro, the Teemo Super Assist, Illaoi Tentacle. Like those are the main exceptions or whatever. But for the most part, you throw a Time Winder, your opponent hits you, they cannot combo themselves into the Time Winder anymore. You throw Yasuo Fireball, you can't Giga Trade with the Fireball anymore, just kill him. So, here's a good change. There's definitely impacts characters like Teemo, characters like Ekko, characters like Yasuo, who like are really good at just throwing out projectiles and just kind of forgetting about them, in all honesty. And if you trade, you sometimes just like get a combo. I'll send Lee a clip to put on screen because holy shit, that happened a lot.
There's also like Jinx Rocket tag, like
Jinx Rocket also being one of them as well. Like there are a lot of examples like that in this game. So this is a good change. I am amazed that this wasn't a feature to begin with, but it's good and it's pushing the game in the right direction. The other projectile change is you can no longer charge a projectile and then handshake tag. So this mainly applies to, I want to say, around like 3 characters, being Jinx, Yasuo, and Teemo. Yasuo, to the least extent, you can like charge his fireball slightly and then tag, so it doesn't really matter. You're not going to be able to do charge rocket anymore while tagging out, so that does hurt like some Jinx comps mix-up potential. But the main one being Teemo, he can no longer sit across the screen, charge his slingshot, and just have like Yasuo or Ekko or Ahri run behind it and get like a god tier mix-up for free. He has to sit there and he has to commit for however long to actually like charge it, so it goes the full duration. Which is good. It's a fair enough change, I think, it makes a lot of sense considering they want this game to be fairly aggressive, and we see that in the next system change as well. So them like lowering the strength of like zoning strategies does overall make sense. Another larger system change is the dash changes. So backdash has been like, its speed has been reduced on the 5 fastest characters in the game, being Ahri, Ekko, Warwick, Bai, and Yasuo. Again, this is the second time he's had this backdash nerfed. And the movement speed has been sped up for forward dash on the slower characters, i.e. Blitz and Braum. So this does make sense. They want like movement to be a lot stronger forward than backwards. We've learned this lesson from closed beta, so it does make sense.
Yeah, I actually have some thoughts on that. I want to see once we get to like the actual tag changes on how this kind of affects the keep away game, like up back tag, run away tag. But I'll hold my my thoughts on that until we get a little bit deeper. But I kind of want to just put a note in that, put a pin in that idea.
Yeah, we will see how that ends up shaking out. Up back tag is definitely still going to be strong, especially with how many like forward advancing assists you can just like throw it out. All right, well now there's a point I can teleport to on the other end of the screen for fun. 5L has been sped up universally, so the universal fastest normal is 7 frames, with exceptions being 6. So, like, yes, Yasuo, Vi, Ekko, all of them still have 6 frame jabs, but characters like Illaoi, Braum, Darius, they have 7 frames. So, things that were like -6 or harder to punish. Prime example, Warwick overhead. Spoiler alert, it's -8 now.
Oh.
So it's more consistent to punish with a jab as opposed to, if you don't have a 6-frame jab, you have to be in throw range to punish it. So that's not fucking happening. And I will say, I think this is the second less assistant change, but I think it's probably one of the more impactful ones. Assists. Hitting an assist causes a 4-second cooldown as opposed to the 2-second it currently is. I think it's bugged. I don't know how it works. Everyone thought it was bugged. When you hit an assist on a timer, right? You freestyle tag, you hit the assist, and now their timer is 3 times shorter because it went to 2 seconds. So this being 4 seconds is good. I still have no idea how it interacts with freestyle, but we will see that when we see it. When an assist is parried, they now lose collision. This is good. Parrying assist before led to like kind of annoying scenarios to try and keep up to like get pressure on the point champion again. So this just makes it easier for you to be like, okay, I'm gonna run up, I'm gonna hit a button, and the point champion's just gonna block it, and they gotta hold this shit because I parried their assist. So that's good. Assist UI appears 5 frames faster. Who cares? Dead champions should ruin less happy birthdays, which is good because a lot of the time your combo would just get fucked up because there's a dead Vi or something because you hit someone after they push blocked. And your combo just eats shit because you have to route accounting for happy birthday, and then your combo doesn't work because happy birthdays in this game are weird.
True. So before we talk about breaks real quick, I do want to just kind of think about the logic of the assists. So I thought for some reason the assists were going to be on a 6-second cooldown. Maybe I was just thinking about the handshake cooldown like you were talking about. Is that 6 seconds you're saying, right?
Yeah, freestyle CD is 6 seconds when you attack twice.
Yeah, so I wonder how that is going to actually interact with it. I assume I guess it'll probably still just be on a 4-second cooldown. But one of the things I do at least hope gameplay-wise this is going to change is it makes the assists be even more of a resource. There already, is some benefit to doing things like push block, tag into your assist. Again, freestyle is really strong because then you can tag back to your assist. But in theory, the whole use your assist as neutral still going to be really strong, but I would hope that this adds a little bit of more decision making and awareness that is needed to actually utilize that as a strategy. Because I mean, having those 2 additional seconds on cooldown maybe doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but it could be a big deal in situations like where you need push block to deal with some mix, or maybe you're playing a character on point who doesn't have the strongest anchor potential. So I don't know. I think it's something that could affect some team comps. It'll be interesting to see how macro decision making is playing out. But I do think the players that are already like utilizing their assists correctly aren't going to be too negatively affected by this. I think it's going to be one of those things that if you're kind of just throwing the assists out without thinking, there's actually penalty to it. At least that's what I hope. I don't know if you have any quick thoughts on that sort of gameplay loop as well.
No, I agree for the most part. I mean, they do say this is intended to make like bad assist calls riskier, and there are a lot of the times when I both watch and play the game at a higher level, I see a lot of assist calls where I'm like, wow, this was horrible, and they go like near unpunished, or they hit the assist and it does nothing because it just makes their cooldown faster. So I think this is a good change to push assist usage in the right direction, but there are still a lot of like strong assists that are very easy to cover for. Time Winder assist being the prime example. Teemo dart assist being really good as well. Spawning behind the point champion in 15 frames. That's still absurd to me.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of assists that are still really easy to cover. Others that aren't as easy, but you still are playing a game with active tag, and even if you active tag, you're putting yourself into a weird RTS guessing game, or you have to react with parry, right? So I think this is going to force a lot less lazy gameplay, which has generally been the direction they've been going balance-wise since closed beta.
Yeah, and at the very least, it'll make at least closing the gap on your opponent more impactful, right? You don't have the freaking time bomb tier chest saying, I have 2 seconds. I have 2 seconds to make you block something before your Warwick DP assist now covers you again because I'm trying to jump in on you, or I'm trying to, approach after hitting the tag. I think, like you said, in summary of that, it is going to discourage lazy gameplay once you be a little bit tighter, and I think that's just good for the game.
the last system change I want to go over, they're Juggernaut buffs. They're on the patch notes if you want to read them. They do not matter. This fuse is still dog shit. Break. Activating Break will put your assist on a 2-second cooldown, but you still have a small window to handshake tag. But before, this is only a freestyle thing for some reason. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, every fuse can now tag to their assist champion after a burst. But it will put you on a 2-second cooldown whether you tag or you don't. Which I think is a reasonable change. There are so many times where burst would just reset my freestyle cooldown, and I would tag 4 times in the span of like 6 seconds. It was bad. So I think this adjustment makes sense and is a general like upgrade from where burst tag is currently. I still have my own issues with burst, but that's like whatever. We'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a lot of these changes are bug fixes and like input changes or whatever. Like I've never seen a level 1 get canceled into a level 3. I've never seen this happen a day in my life. But you can't do it anymore, I guess.
You're using that tech? You're not using that tech? Come on.
I'm not using that tech. I've never seen it before a day in my life. So we get the champion adjustments. What's going on? Alphabetical order, top to bottom. Ahri got a couple changes. Her air fireball has a custom hurt box, which I'm not exactly sure what the implication of is. Maybe it makes it easier to hit her or whatever, but oh yeah, there's a system change I forgot to mention. All air projectiles leave you in a counter hit state after you throw them. So this applies to Ahri as well with her air fireball. There was one buff to her, and it was to her forward assist. You can no longer 2H it. This is an incredibly niche interaction that barely happened, so who cares? As we said earlier, backdash speed got changed. It's slower on Ahri. Her 5M range got decreased a bit.
Ooh.
And doing fireballs no longer will refresh her air dash. So her being able to run away from you, stall for as long as she was able to before, that's gone. It's not going to be as good. They want Ahri to play a bit more rushdown, a bit closer to your opponent, baiting out anti-airs and stuff a lot more effectively, as opposed to I'm going to run away on the other end of the screen. If you try to hit me, you're going to die to my assist.
Something tells me she'll still be able to do that though.
She's probably still going to be able to do it, but it won't be as effective.
Yeah, you can't like air dash, freaking fireball, air dash, and then S2 in the air, and then freaking do whatever you want. At least now there's some methods to the movement patterns.
Yeah. The rest of these are either consistency changes or just like general changes that don't mean much. Like down S2 being airborne on frame 10 instead of frame 1. You're not reacting on frame 1 to this attack with 2H anyway, so doesn't change anything. Up forward Spirit Rush now has 2 more frames of hit stun, so it combos consistently on Warwick. And that's it. She has a couple bug fixes, but that's most characters, so we'll move on. Blitzcrank got good amount of changes, honestly, but I'm unsure if he'll end up any better than he is currently. Which, I mean, I understand why they're scared to make him better. He's a fucking grappler. But it's 5L. It is now frame 7 as opposed to frame 8. He was one of the characters affected by that universal change. His forward speed got increased, and they made some hurtbox adjustments that at least read questionable. Hurtboxes on Blitzcrank's hands have been removed on most grounded attacks.
I
would like to remind you, this is his 5M, and this is his 5H.
He has hurt boxes on his hands, huh?
He's not gonna have those next version, I think. So that's kind of scary, I think.
So I wonder with that combined with the movement change, how significant the movement change might be. But if like Blitzcrank is going to be able to kind of like box in that mid range a little bit more, you're not going to be able to like trade. You might just be able to straight up counter hit you and then pull you in with a little hook thing. I don't know. This mid range might be significant for him. We'll see.
He already has a pretty good 2H as well, so being able to make that like a bit harder to contest him is kind of scary. So but we'll see what the bigger implications of that are in the upcoming patch. There are a bunch of consistency changes, mainly towards his 2M to make it like more consistent on a juggling opponent, specifically the first hit. And then the major buffs, the 5M hitbox is bigger. Reminder, they removed the hurtbox from his hand, and they made the hitbox bigger.
Well, that I want to point out the movement speed thing again, though. Hold on, because this is my first time seeing this. Now, we know Ekko's buttons are already pretty big, right? They're pretty good, but they're also a lot better because of his movement speed. They are reducing the hurtbox on Blitzcrank, increasing the hitboxes, and making him faster. Granted, Blitzcrank was already really slow. It's also a grappler. But we don't know how much these changes are actually going to result in what the character can do. I don't know. There might be some alarm bells. We'll see, but there might be some shenanigans afoot.
Yeah, we definitely have to see how these adjustments end up shaking out in game tomorrow. But currently, as it stands, they're kind of scary, especially the 5H pushing him further for some reason. A bunch of changes to his 4H. You never saw this attack used outside of like very niche combos. It's like a weird niche anti-air thing that like nobody clicks ever.
Gonna lie. I thought that was his 2H.
No, bro.
What the heck is his 2H? Oh my god. Oh, that's true. True. That's his launch. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So a bunch of adjustments to his 4H, making it just generally better on hit and better at hitting people behind him. His air grab has 4 more active frames, so it matches the animation a bit better, and it's easier to like, you can just air block it or whatever, like more as opposed to before, where sometimes you just end up dodging it. His like lariat has more damage per hit, so this improves his combo damage. And his air command grab now builds him steam, which matches his normal command grab on the ground. So overall, I think the speed and the button adjustments to Blitzcrank are kind of crazy, but we have to see how much that actually impacts him in terms of when it comes to, is he still capable of providing for an assist champion? Is he still capable of being played solo? His damage output's already high, he's a fucking grappler, but we have to see how like efficient this ends up making Blitzcrank. He'll definitely go up in the tier list, and I don't think he's going to be the worst character in the game for a lot of people anymore, so that's good. Braum got buffed. I have feelings about that. He is a part of the universal 5L change, so 7 frames. Forward speed got increased as well. Using his S2 super will no longer remove Unbreakable.
Now that's an option. That's definitely an option.
His S2 super also gains damage when unbreakable. This was just a feature the entire time. So he's going to be doing more damage on average and have unbreakable more. Not only that, they adjusted his assist, where it now has a new animation where Braum walks forward and its duration has been increased by 24 frames.
Wait, is that the shield assist?
That's the shield assist.
So it goes further in front of you?
He will walk forward during it.
Dude, I freaking... What is it? Aquaman and Justice? Low-key, it's the same move. His neutral, his unique move where Aquaman just falls out of your combo. I swear I watch people try to swing at the point character at the same frame Braum comes out, and it's just like the combo means nothing to me. Now he's gonna be actually potentially controlling more space.
He's gonna also help characters in the mid-range control even more space as well with this assist change, which is crazy to me. So they're definitely buffing Braum like a lot.
My only question with that, does it say anything about the startup of the animation? It's been increased by 24 frames, is how long it lasts. So it lasts longer. But like, is it the same startup? Or like, can you?
Yeah, they do say it's a new animation, so I hope it's not the same startup as it is currently.
Yeah,
it is pretty fast currently.
Because if he goes forwards, right, I would hope there's like a window of time that you can like hit him. The trade-off is that he goes like further forwards, but you can actually hit him on startup, so it's not just like bink, like I caught you swinging, and now you get freaking POD. Like I hope that the animation is a bit longer, but we'll see.
Braum's 2H follow-up will now more consistently face the opponent, which is good consistency change. His down S2 icicles will now are bigger, and it no longer drops on Happy Birthday. So when he had Unbreakable, he would like smash the icicles and shit on the ground, and now they're bigger. So I don't know by how much, because before you could just jump forward and dodge it if you use it as like a pressure reset. I hope you could still jump it. That would be good.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you could still be counterplay to the fireball. Consistency changes to his lariat to make the projectile invul more consistent. Sure. Hitbox and hurtbox adjustments, where they have reduced the hurtbox on 6H and the hitbox on 2H, and his 2H follow-up are bigger, along with his tag launcher. So these are consistency changes. 6H damage has been increased by 10 from 60 to 70, and 6H damage has been increased by 5 from 65 to 70.
Why are they giving Braum more damage?
This is an excellent question, man. I don't know.
Alright, man.
So they've also buffed his normals. His 5L has two less frames of recovery, in addition to the startup nerf. His 2L has 2 less frames of recovery. His mediums now have 2 more frames of hit stun. So both of them now combo into 6H. Now I don't know what implications this has combo wise, but they're probably pretty big. I don't play Braum. He probably just like the 6H into charge lariat or something. His 3H, the forward movement on the first hit now goes further. So before there were instances where if you were spaced out further from Braum, the first hit would whiff and you could react to the second hit with a low parry. That situation should come up a bit less often now. Poros now have additional projectile durability, so they beat common fireballs like Time Winder, Jinx Rocket. His command grab hitbox goes further. His giant like door swing without Unbreakable will now tumble.
Oh, okay.
And the recovery has been decreased by 2 frames on the attack that just gives him Unbreakable if you lock it or if it happens. So this move was like fairly niche before. It's like -4. It's like happens and it's like slow as hell. You have to call an assist to true string into it. And then you just like you're -4 and you're kind of spaced, so it's Braum, like that's fine. But now it's -2, which is definitely scarier than what it was before. So you just get to click 5M more. He has a bunch of bug fixes, and that's it. So these changes are scary, for sure. They definitely move Braum up. By how much? Probably not a significant amount, to be honest. But they do move him up, and he is a scarier character than he was before.
Yeah, the thing I'm wondering pretty much though is that Braum is an interesting character because without Unbreakable, he's kind of like I don't know. But then with Unbreakable, it's like dog. What do I do on incoming, man? It's gonna freaking charge JH or freaking shoulder charge me, 50-50 essentially.
Yep. I'm scared to see the balance direction in the future for Braum, and I hope he does not get over buffed. I think this is fine though. Keep him as is after this, please. Caitlyn balance changes. She got added to the game. W Caitlyn. Darius. So they did one big change to Darius, which I think is really interesting. You can now charge Apprehend, but you can't get the follow-ups after you charge it. It's just plus.
Oh, okay.
So it makes it.
That's pretty cool.
So trying to parry Apprehend is a lot harder, and you have to think a bit harder about, okay, is he gonna charge it to try to bait my parry? Is he just gonna let it rock? Can I jump out or something? Which sometimes the Apprehend will just hit your up back anyway. So it's not necessarily a get-all solution, but it just makes Apprehend overall a better move to use in pressure, which I think is interesting and probably should have been in the game to begin with how Apprehend was before.
Yeah, it's a simple change, but with Darius, I think it fits his character type. I think it adds actually a lot of nuance to his character. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. Darius is part of the universal 5L change. They buffed his fireball a bit. It's still not great in neutral, but it is a bit better than it was before. Less startup, less recovery, hit stun's been increased by a few frames, the launch arc got changed. and like the 5H hurtbox size has been decreased right under the fireball changes for some reason. So I mean, so good. Move works. It's probably gonna be more used than it was before.
Quick question. Oh, go ahead. What you say?
No, I'll pretty much finish.
I was gonna say, do you know if Darius can OTG like off of air throw with his fireball currently on like most types?
On air throw, yes, he can.
Okay. I wonder if the fireball change at all is gonna allow for maybe some new OTG routes. I can't imagine that there's too many situations where you couldn't get fireball before that 2 frames would change that, but you never know. This is the first thing that kind of came to mind.
His range on his jab got increased, and then the charge apprehend change happened as well. So stagger is going to be a bit better along with the apprehend change, and just improving how that move functions anyway. Combo improvements. So 6S2, S2 causes them to fall a little slower, so I think like assist extensions are probably going to be a bit more consistent. Apprehend medium knockdown has been increased when hitting a grounded opponent, so now matches the duration on air hit. So that's just like general consistency change. You got some slight damage buffs and 1 slight damage nerf. He's going to be doing slightly more damage, but it's not by like a significant margin, and a bug fix. Moving on to the Ekko changes that are impactful, but they definitely could have done more. So, the obvious offender. Throw rewind is gone. So this kills OG Burrito and just throw rewind and pressure in general. Burrito being gone doesn't matter too much. He still can do downtime winder in the Kara install for Oki, and he can still do Kebab. Both of these OSs are still in the game, and they're both alive and well. But OG Burrito is gone, which had some mid-screen application, I guess. But if you want me to be 100% honest with you, if you weren't in a sandwich block string scenario, popping install mid-screen was giga troll. Like, you just like have better things to do with your meter at that point.
And right quick,
So-
for anyone who doesn't know what option select or the burrito is or anything like that, essentially it is just a sequence of inputs that allowed Ekko to cover every get up option. If the throw whiffs, you would rewind and then cover the next thing, essentially. And you have the time winder on top of it to do things like get up attack, cover mix, etc. Since you can't rewind the throw, that option select is gone, but as Luke is saying, there's going to be other things you can still get.
Yeah, Kebab, for example, while it doesn't cover like back roll in the corner, it covers forward roll, which is one that's important and you actually care about. You do roll and throw with down forward at the same time, and because of how the input buffer in this game works, you get throw if they forward roll and you get roll if they don't. So that's still in the game, and downtime under the Kara install is also still in the game. So he's still going to be running Oki and he's still going to be mixing with shit, but he isn't going to do it with OG Burrito, which is like kind of a nothing burger change because every good Ekko is swapped to Kebab or downtime under Oki anyway. The actual impactful change is he can no longer throw RC, which I honestly thought we would have learned our lesson 5 years ago from Launch Strive, where everyone had throw PRC and running strike throw in that game was so easy for like 4 months until they took it out. So I'm shocked it made it past QA to begin with, but it's gone now, so that's pretty good. It's a hit to Ekko's strike throw game, which would have been honestly just absurdly broken if he got to run Oki on you anyway. And it's still pretty good, obviously. Like, you still have a throw combo to represent. You're still able to do like overhead rewind throw to get a bit tricky with it. Those are still options that are apparent to you, but it now comes with an actual consequence if you're wrong, which is good.
Yeah, it's good. It kind of doesn't matter because, you know, now they're just playing a little bit the same game that everyone else is already playing. So it's like, oh, I'm slightly mortal.
Oh no, I have to think. Oh no.
Oh no. What have they taken from me?
They made a couple adjustments to 3L. This move was pretty underutilized before. Wasn't that good at catching retreating guards. Still isn't, but its hit stun has been increased by a few frames, and it pushes the opponent less far on hit. So your combos off of it are going to be a bit more consistent. And Dash H now only increases combo scaling by 1 instead of 2, which is a bit niche, but does have a couple use cases, so fair enough. Obviously, throw rewind is gone. We talked about this. His 5M range got the same treatment Ahri did, where its range has been a little decreased, which I think makes sense for considering how fast these characters are at moving forward. So that's a good change. The 3M hit stun has been decreased on counter hit. So if you counter hit someone with 3M, you can only combo into jab. You can't combo into anything else. The first hit of Super Time Winder now causes damage scaling, so it should reduce Ekko's damage on straight hits a little bit. His level 3 got more block stun to make it more consistent to punish, and his down S2 with a charge clone or like an install, I got a meteor gain adjustment, so it's been nerfed as well. There is a bug fix that I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm going to assume what I was told about it is true. When you parry Ekko's S1 super, it just like stays stationary and you parry it a bunch of times and you farm meter and you go for level 3. However, from what I hear, this change makes it so you parry it a couple of times and then it's just past you. So now you could get like a jab punish and save your meter if you end up parrying, which I think is a reasonable enough change. Parrying to level 3 was obviously like hype from a spectator point of view, but if you didn't end up having enough meter to begin with when you started parrying, you kind of just like they ate shit and you still had to block after because the Ekko ended up being like plus. So this is I think this is a reasonable change and pushes Ekko away from doing that, which Ekko players were already not doing S1 super to frame trap that often anyway, but now it's just less important than it was before. And then a bunch of bug fixes. So moving on to Illaoi, they adjusted her damage so she does a bit less damage off of mediums and like straight pokes, but when she does her Rekka, there is like a pseudo adjust frame. I think it's like a 3-frame window or something to do Rekka into like a tentacle slap if you have the tentacle up, and then it lets you get a longer combo with that. There's like a combo trial on it, I think, but that will now deal more damage, and her general like her ward of a straight medium poke has been tuned down, along with charge H as a starter is better, which who cares honestly. She was a part of the 5L universal change, or shit 7 frames. Second of charge 2H is more consistent. The giant anti-air tentacle swing has a better combo on hit. Tentacle behavior, the block stun and tentacle spawn timing has been adjusted for like a new tentacle rule where they no longer use hit stop when accounting for spawning tentacles. So now like true strings in the tentacle pop or whatever, so that's fair. Charge H got a buff. Illaoi's tentacle damage got a pretty big buff as well. Meter gain on the just frame also went up too, so they want you to do harder combos on Illaoi as opposed to the ABC 1-2-3 combos that every Illaoi player has been doing for however long. And we see that with her easier combos being nerfed, just a small amount. Her mediums got like 5 less base damage, and that's kind of it. And I think this nerf actually matters for a lot of things. Her level 3 is now frame 9 as opposed to frame 5. So before, this was the fastest attack of the game, and it was a level 3, so it just did 500 fucking damage. Now, you can't punish things that are -5, which is good. I think it should match the universal fastest thing in the game, or be slower, I think. So this is a good change, I agree.
Yeah, I didn't actually think about the implications of that being frame 5 meant that, yeah, you can just freaking giga punish things, and also her level 3 is fairly big as far as things are considered to like just get a guaranteed punish, right? How much damage you're doing, something that's 5 frames that big. This going to 9 I think is actually good. I didn't think about the implications of being able to just punish things that are -5 at certain distances with as much damage as the level 3 is cranking out.
Yeah. Moving to Jinx, she got a couple changes that are more so tuned to her traps that are impactful, but I don't really think they're enough to move her up on a tier list or anything. Basically, the TLDR, her traps now have, like, they're now faster to set. The total duration on them is a bit faster. The charge chomper is like 8 frames faster. Uncharged Chomper is 4 frames faster. The like flying monkey is like 3 frames faster. So they're just more consistent to get up in neutral, as opposed to, okay, I'm putting myself at a second of disadvantage to get a trap on the screen to do something. Her up minigun got kind of reworked to how it works on hit, because before it did nothing. You got hit by it and you did not care at all. It was the worst move in the game. It was minus on hit and punishable on hit by several characters. Now, it will launch you into the air on a ground hit. Its hit stun has been increased. No longer has damage scaling on each of the bullets, it scales on like the middle and the last bullet instead. And it can now be cancelled into rocket or zap after the last bullet fires. So this is a pretty good change. The move was actually just the worst attack in the game to begin with, so now it's a bit better. Her 5H recovery has been decreased by 2 frames. It's now -9 on block. It no longer gets punished by some level 3s and Yasuo S1 Super, which also just beat like 90% of her follow-ups anyway. So this is a good change.
Yeah, and I wonder too if some of this is taking into consideration the changes again to the assist, where hitting them puts them on a 4-second cooldown. Jinx as a solo character becomes a lot harder to manage sometimes. Her assists themselves are pretty good, but a lot of times you want to have your tag to kind of cover the way that you're setting up things. If your tag is going to be on cooldown a lot more often, being able to get more traps up more consistently could be a bit of a also just compensation buff. And just in general, I think the character kind of needed it. I think people were maybe a little scared of, initially how much screen control Jinx might end up having, but as things kind of played out, especially when laser tag kind of got semi-patched out of the game, quote unquote, her representation became a little bit less threatening, so to speak. So this, I think, we'll see how it ends up turning out, but I think it's overall just good for these nerfs, though. Haven't seen these. Are they impactful at all? What are they looking like?
They're slightly impactful, but it's more so the level 3 that means anything. The rest of these are like just kind of quality of life nerfs that like don't mean much outside of some niche situations. So before, her level 3 explosion did a shit ton of hit damage.
Yes.
If you pop Fury, clicked level 3 and they blocked it, they were taking 40 for some reason. So the chip on it got reduced by 40%, which is good. They want like you to not checkmate your opponent at 50% of their HP on a final character, so that is good. Her super assist does not fire additional projectiles if any of the projectiles are interrupted, so that's kind of an adjustment. I think this is going to be impactful. Funny enough, against Yasuo, he clicks his fireball, one of the rockets makes contact with his fireball, and then Jinx stops shooting rockets. So that's going to be interesting to see. And her crouching hurt box is now a bit bigger, so this has a couple implications for some characters, but doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. And then her damage adjustment, like her damage is just gonna be equal on the ground and in the air, so that's pretty fair. Teemo, right?
Woohoo.
This guy got nerfed a lot. Obviously, by the system changes, he's probably the biggest example of charged projectiles going away. But also, he got nerfs that were not in the hotfix patch, but they were gonna do these anyway, bro. So 5LL and 5LLL have less recovery. They now have the same recovery as 5L. It's a bit confusing. If he shoots 2 and 3 darts, it's the same recovery as 1 dart. Plain and simple. So that's the only buff he's gotten. The rest of his changes are nerfs. Lock stun on 5M has been decreased by 4 frames. I'm unsure what the implication is, but it's decreased by 4 frames. His 5HH recovery has been increased. It is now -9 on block. Teemo's 5M and 5HH had frame data that did not align with other characters, which is true. Now his 5M is still frame 9. It's the fastest one in the game, I think. His S1 Super has gone from 9 darts to 8, but the damage has been redistributed accordingly. This only matters in a double down context. My opinion should have gone down to 5, but yeah. I mean, going down is fair. His teleport into the grass when he has to push up when he teleports, it was invul on frame 2, and now it is frame 4. So I think that's fair. Most of the other non-alternate invul moves were frame 4 anyway. So there's just making him fit the system. The duration of him having the bush on fire went from 4 seconds to 2 seconds, which is impactful because he no longer could just sit there behind a burning bush for 4 seconds and then just kill you. His super assist duration has been decreased by 33 frames. It was 220 and it's now 187, and now throws less mushrooms. His badges got nerfed, where it now requires more things to be done to get the badges. 2 more mushrooms, 3 more darts, 1 more slingshot. They're kind of minor, but I think the mushroom one is going to be the most impactful. And then he has hurtbox adjustments so characters can combo him correctly when he's standing, because he's a fucking rodent.
Well, go ahead. Sorry, continue before I say anything. Go ahead, very quick.
I think Teemo is the biggest loser of this patch by far, mostly off of system changes, but these nerfs are also the most impactful out of nerfs to the top 4 in the patch. Spoiler alert, the Yasuo nerfs are not this impactful. So he probably lost the patch the hardest. He's out of top 5 for sure, I think. Maybe even out of like top 8 characters in the game, but we will have to see how he ends up in practice.
Yeah, that's the big thing. My question is going to be, how did these like badge nerfs affect combo routing and things? Because from what it looks like, maybe I'm somehow blind. His damage is theoretically the same, but the way or how often you get the badges is going to be different. Because I mean, Teemo, was a thing. But I guess if we don't see those happening as consistently, like off of like just random stray hits or like interactions, then I guess technically his damage is like effectively nerfed. But what are your like thoughts, I guess, that comes to mind on like how the badge change might actually affect gameplay wise?
I think if he wins 1 round, he is no longer automatically spawning into the next game with at least 1 badge. And if he is, it's going to be the dart badge, which is impactful, but it's not as impactful as the mushroom badge. The mushroom badge is what actually allows him to TOD you on literally every fucking hit. So him getting that less consistently is pretty important, all things considered.
Okay.
Now, I think one big thing they didn't change about him is his JL, which was probably one of the best air normals in the game, where he just shot the dart downwards. It's incredibly difficult to try and contest this move already, and I think him keeping it while they like nerf the rest of his kit, if they nerf the rest of his kit, him keeping it is fine, and it's still like a very strong aspect of his kit. But we have to see how he ends up in practice, because he does have things that are strong, but the strongest things from the last version are gone. So let's move on to Vi. Her charge Sway H can now be cancelled into S1 specials like Footwork or Lariat, so this improves her combo routing, her pressure game. But to compensate, she's a bit lower to the ground when she does it, so you can match jab on her if she does this. So it just makes counterplay to it a bit more consistent, but the return she gets for making you block it is a bit better, and her combo routing off of it is also a bit better. So I'm curious to see how her new BNBs are going to look after this version, and like how impactful that's going to be overall. Her light sway got the properties of full charge sway L on counter hit, which I think makes sense. If you counter hit a projectile, you probably should get a better combo. Her charge JS1 now does more damage. Her charge H can be cancelled. We talked about this already. The opponent can now be hit sooner after her command grab, so assist characters can follow up easier. There's a thing they did, I want to say, a couple patches ago, but they just doubled down on it again. Her Crater Maker, her LTG special, damage was increased by 5, and it's more advantageous when the opponent air blocks it. So that move currently goes to the fucking skybox. It's probably intended as like a decent anti-air, but if the opponent air blocks it, you get like nothing, right? Now, you're not at a disadvantage. We don't know how advantageous you are because air blocking in this game is weird, but they did add more air blocks into it to not put you at a direct disadvantage. Her rock assist will now OTG when Vi pulls up the rock, so it makes it a bit more useful as a combo tool and other things as well, which is good. I think there's like a hitbox before she pulls up the rock, so maybe it's better in block string as well, but we'll have to see how it ends up looking. Her 5S2 now causes 2 hits of damage scaling, which doesn't really matter because it's a combo ender anyway for the most part. It only really matters if you're doing like really easy combos, so I guess they're incentivizing you to do slightly harder ones, but even then her slightly harder routes aren't the hardest thing in the world to do. We even have a guide on the channel for how to do electrics and stuff. You like only really need to do 2 or 3 per combo, realistically. So watch that, you'll be good if you were using 5S2 for combos. Her super assist also has like a smaller vertical hitbox to match the animation better, and that's about it. Got to Warwick, who's probably the biggest winner of this patch besides Yasuo, who went untouched. Well, not untouched, but untouched in a lot of the meaningful areas. So, Warwick just got a shit ton of consistency changes. I mean, that's so
crazy.
The list is so long in terms of consistency changes. The majority of these making it easier for him to do combos, easier for Rucka into super to combo, like higher hit stun scaling and stuff.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know he even had this many inconsistencies aside from like, what is it, the like crouching, was it S2 or one of the moves didn't combo into like the flip like very, very consistently. Was like the only thing that I really noticed, but I mean I'm out of the loop, so what the heck are these?
So a lot of these revolve around combos off of like demon flip and stuff, like demon flip follow-ups, specifically demon flip L, demon flip M, comboing Rucka into super more consistently. DP, the back hit of it didn't happen in Bloodlust for some reason, or it wasn't consistent, so that's now a bit more consistent. The second hit of the S2 super launches the opponent further to make sure characters don't like fall out of it. Got some hurtbox adjustments where his S1 no longer have a hurtbox on Warwick's back foot, and along with his headbutt, there's like no hurtbox on his inner arm. So these are like minor, but they are hurtbox improvements. But overall, his combo game should be a lot more consistent. He should be getting Bloodlust a lot more easier. He should be able to just combo in general easier. I'm curious how these consistency changes are going to improve his Bloodlust routing, and just generally how it's going to end up. Warwick was already a strong character that we were criminally underrating until like a month ago. So I'm kind of scared for where he is now. He might be up there in top 3, top 4 conversations, but we again have to see how it shakes up in game. He got some quality of life buffs. His 3H went from -11 to -8 and a slightly longer range. And this is mostly used to catch retreating guard, and you pair an assist behind it as well in case someone was just like stand blocking your string after blocking a 2M or something. So it's now a bit safer, and like, so most of the time you're going to be using it with assist. Maybe it's like actually safe if it's space. We'll have to see. The hitbox size on like when he does the wall jump into the medium leap follow-up, it now like is more consistent, but the demon flip version of it. His 5S1 in Bloodlust makes Warwick run 30% faster.
Huh?
His 6S1 now travels 15% further. And in Bloodlust, when it becomes a cross-up, it now pushes the opponent further away on block, presumably making it harder to punish.
This is uncalled for. This might be uncalled for. I don't know about this.
The move itself is -14, so in theory you should still be able to punish it, but we have to see. Rucka consistency, they push the opponent less far. His like OTG move is -5 in Bloodlust, so I mean it doesn't really matter. Landing recovery of JS2 final hit has been reduced. This had some applications with Guard Crush, ideally like Charge H or Vi Lariat, a state where your opponent is forced to stand on block. So you would use it as an instant overhead in a similar sense to Yasuo J2H. And now it's a bit safer when done like that. Granted, there's still a risk. Most of the time you're going to want like a free sell tag to back it up anyway. But it's not as doom on block, and it's just like a bit better on the last hit as well, so you get some more Oki if you do it. Because before, if you did it at the end of a combo, you weren't even plus enough to meet with a jab. I think you were like +4 or something, and Warwick jab was slow. So now you should be able to do that. S2 startup has been reduced by 2 frames, so it makes it more consistent to combo into, which gives him a shit ton of bloodlust. His level 3 startup has been reduced by 4 frames. It is now 12 frames instead of 16, which, I mean, it makes sense. A lot of the level 3s in this game vary a lot in frame data. They go from like frame 9, frame 6, frame 16, frame 12. I hope they generally standardize it, like a rough range of like 9 through 12 in the future, but for now this is fine. You got a couple of nerfs that don't mean too much. The one nerf that does mean something, his 5S1 is now -8, so it's universally job punishable.
Is he no longer Eno?
He's still Eno. The Warwick is Eno bit is still alive and well. He makes you guess high-low. I don't know. Same character. Trust.
Trust.
The first hit of his Rekka travels a bit less far, which doesn't mean too much. And they got a lot of bug fixes. But I do want to call out here, though, his Bloodlust Infinite is still presumably in the game. Now, granted, it was not the best Infinite. It was useful for killing and closing out games, but if you kept looping it, your opponent just built a shit ton of burst really fast. So I can understand if they wanted to keep it in, because there's some level of balance behind it. However, it is still crazy to me that he can still just cash out his meter and get an infinite. So we'll see. Lastly, let's talk about the Ionian. So they made a couple adjustments to his mid-range, mainly to better fit his character, because Yasuo would want to take his shots carefully rather than mash and get a full confirm. Unfortunately, he's still probably going to do that, but we'll get to that. 5M has an additional hitbox to hit crouchers more reliably, which is good. There are a lot of times when you click 5M, and sometimes it'll just whiff, even though like your sword was going through your opponent for some reason. So this is a consistency change. And with the added recovery, this move whiffing on crouchers would just not been fun to deal with. So that's fair. His 2H hitbox size has been increased. Now, Yohozi made a tweet about this. It's mainly because currently Yasuo's 2H hitbox, right? Currently, there's a dead zone between like the top of it and the part that hits in front of it. They're removing the dead zone. That is it. That's the only hitbox change they're doing. It's just a small quality of life thing. His Rekka now has more hit stun on grounded opponents. I don't know what this change does, but he now has more hit stun on grounded opponents, I guess.
Maybe this somehow affects combos? I don't know.
I have no clue. Nerfs. His medium and 2M now have more recovery. His 2M's total duration went from 36 to 41, and his 5M's total duration went from 31 to 37. So, I think the more impactful one out of the two is going to be 2M. That move's hitbox was already really good. It didn't extend its hitbox too far forward in front of Yasuo, and it was just good at just checking a lot of things, like buy lariat on round start, or just aggressive round starts in general. It was really good at checking those. Now it should be more reliably whiff punished if used carelessly. So I think that's going to be the important one. His 5M change is a nothing burger, realistically. Well, I shouldn't say it's a nothing burger, because this does matter, and it does make him more whiff punishable. However, if you've seen how big that attack is, it is very difficult to whiff it if you use it in the right spot.
We whiffing this? We whiffing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. His Hasagi now has a slight dead zone above him when close to the opponent, so you can't anti-air with it on accident sometimes, I guess. The big damage change is when performing JS1, JS1, JS2 as a combo ender, he can no longer combo an S1 super. So this reduces his ability to be lazy and just end his combo and get like a really easy cash in. Additionally, the Ender is less plus in general, so maybe like Windwall Oki is going to be a bit different, whatever, right? So this actually means you have to be less lazy with how you route into double super if you want to cash out. Most of the time you have to get some form of knockdown, i.e. like Ekko 6S1, call Windwall assist, pop it with a tornado and then do stance H, and then you get the double super that way. But you need your assist cooldown now instead of being lazy and being like, okay, well, I just hit this guy with 8 mix-ups in a row, and then he got hit by the 9th one, so now I'm going to tag launcher and do like a guaranteed 40%. So this introduces lazy combo theory and makes his damage generally a bit lower when it comes to just damage cap, which is good. His JS1 is now in counter recovery. They've made it easier to air throw him, and the lower hitbox is now removed after 6 frames. The lower hitbox was incredibly niche and didn't really happen too often, but it should be easier to see him do this and air throw him, or do like a JH and then get a better punish or something. His forward assist now has a hurt box behind him. Pretty much it for Yasuo. There are 2 bugs that I want to point out. He can no longer go into stance and then do stance things on incoming. Lee probably has a clip that he can put on screen of that right now, which, I mean, I thought it was pretty funny, but I can understand it was a bug. It probably should be gone. Yasuo's air collision will now match other champions. Now, I will mention some routes were annoying on Yasuo because of how, like, weirdly big or small or whatever. I don't know what the thing is with his collision right now, but I'm going to use Ekko's JS to side swap combo as an example, where he dashes under you, does 2L. That combo was incredibly difficult to do on Yasuo for some reason, and now it should be a bit more consistent.
Oh, you know, that also I imagine affects like some of the Warwick combos as well. I remember Warwick was a character that had some weird routes versus Yasuo. I imagine the Warwick players probably already stabilized them to an extent, but just in general, it's probably nice to have. I'm curious to think though about what do you think for the future, how this is gonna like shake out for season 1, like in general. I have some assumptions right quick, especially for Frosties. That is the methodology behind this seems to be consistent with the previous patches, and that they want the game to be insane. There's still a lot of like crazy options. We mentioned, I mean, Warwick Infinite is still there, but they're also toning down, or at least trying to, some of the slop kind of ideas here, where again, speaking of Warwick, just throw out the overhead, you know, oh, I can't be punished, you know. Now it's -8 with the universal changes. In theory, it should be guaranteed, you know, jab punish if you don't have assist. So you're going to have to cover yourself with assist and whatnot. But then some of the assist changes, you're going to have to be a little bit more thoughtful of how you're utilizing your assist on neutral. There's more changes to like backdashes, so some of the faster characters are going to be a little bit easier to clip. Some of the slower characters are not going to be able to maybe contest those faster characters. And thinking about characters like Yasuo, who now has that 5M, has a little bit more whiff recovery on it. Combine that with some of the characters that have forward movement speed buffs. If you're not playing clean, you know, you might be getting whiff punished more. You might be, you know, getting your assist on cooldown. There's still a lot of good options that are in the game, but they're slowly trying to, it looks like, refine the game to be a little bit less sloppy, or at least less rewarding to some sloppy gameplay. How do you feel about that design philosophy? Is that kind of seeming like it's the case to you, or just what are your thoughts?
I think that's also the case, and generally I agree. And I think a lot of the more slop gameplay patterns in fighting games at higher levels should generally be toned down. That's always been how I've thought about things. So I think that's really good, and they're trying to incentivize, hey, you kind of have to, like, think about this, lab this out for a bit. Figure out, okay, how am I going to do this? Can I be lazy about this? Most of the time, the answer they want is no, you can't be lazy. You have to do this intentionally. So I think their balanced philosophy makes sense, although I do wish that they did make harsher adjustments to some of the top tiers, and I think a lot of people are going to resonate with me with this. I think there are characters that are very difficult to nerf, realistically, Ekko being one of them. But there are also characters that are very easy to nerf, i.e. Yasuo, who keep getting away from patches borderline unscathed. So I think they probably should be taking a more aggressive approach, especially with how people are getting kind of fed up with the metagame. I think it makes sense to have a consistent metagame for the first like few months or whatever. We're on like month 5 of the game, realistically, let's be for real. So
dude,
I think
it releases tomorrow.
Oh, it releases tomorrow. My bad, bro.
Anyways, yeah, continue.
I think for most launch fighting games, the metagame generally stays the same for around 8-ish months or whatever until like their first big balance patch comes. I think Riot taking all these smaller steps is good, and I agree. However, I do wish there are harsher steps. For example, I will speak on Yasuo again. His fireball durability is absurd. It just deletes other projectiles and stays there for some reason. Wind Wall Tornado is active for 2 seconds, which is enough to get your assist back, and you sit behind it and you do nothing for like 2 seconds, and then you have your assist again, and then you get to do it again, then you get to do it again, and then you get to do it again, right? Leads to a lot of difficult to challenge zoning patterns from the mid-range guy, which is kind of intriguing design philosophy to say the least.
It's also funny because, you know, Wind Wall in particular counters projectiles. So the projectile characters, you know, that, right, the zoners that you would think would kind of have, not at least like an upper hand, but be able to deal with some like mid-range pressure by doing some keep away, can't actually get their keep out strategy going. Yasuo is like, I'm chilling. We have Wind Wall tag.
Like, it's kind of crazy to me. I think there are some things that I believe should be addressed as well. Tagging into parry is one of them. I think being able to see the screen freeze when you active tag, and then like, oh, okay, my opponent clicked 2 out, low parry immediately, and you get a full combo. That's kind of corny and encourages some form of lazy gameplay, i.e. bad assist calls and like tagging before you get your shit jabbed or whatever, right? It looks 500 IQ, but it's really not. You're just flinging your assist character across the screen and praying you're right, and then winning a scramble. I think I was speaking with Yada about this the other day, and a change that he proposed was pretty interesting to me, where if both of your champions are on screen, you get like the parry knockback you get from parrying an assist or something, which I think would make sense and help like disincentivize this style of play. But I think those are like 2 outliers. There are like more I could list, but I do believe Riot should probably make some bigger adjustments in like a 1.5 patch or something. But the general direction they're heading in is very good. I just wish they approached that direction faster.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the big thing, is if they were going to make those kind of big changes, it would have had to have likely been the patch before this, just because we do have Frosties coming up. If they were to, you know, shoot some of these characters or shoot some of these options and whatnot, I mean, they could, you know, but as far as like reception, having, you know, effectively only a couple of days to maybe relearn your character or relearn some combo routes or neutral theory could have a lot of bigger implications on individual performance and just enjoyment of, you know, the experience, like going to a big tournament. So it's understandable that if they didn't make those changes last patch, we're probably not going to see some like huge character changes in that regard of actually affecting maybe things like balance and whatnot. Just from what it looks like anyways. Again, we'll have to see how some of these changes are going to actually affect the metagame. Again, like Blitzcrank has had some movement changes. Maybe he's freaking moving at like Mach 12 now, who knows. But overall, the top tiers, well, like he said earlier, Ekko Yasuo, for really just being for real, seems to still be, you know, pretty clean, maybe a bit more mortal, but overall, what makes them strong still exists. And I guess it just makes sense to me at this point that they're not wanting to affect things too much overall with the big tournament coming out. I mean, we're releasing Caitlyn, which is a huge thing. She's going to be legal in the game at this tournament. So if there's any huge like outliers or shakeups, I think it'd be interesting to see what that character ends up doing with you know, different team comps, different matchup spreads, and stuff like that. But yeah, overall, I do think that Riot has been listening and been pretty good, honestly, with the balanced direction of the game. 1.5 patch, I think, would be where things get honed in even more. I don't really have any issues with what we're doing so far. I think it makes sense, and man, it feels weird to say that I actually like the balancing direction of the modern fighting game. What's going on?
Like, it's so, I think it's rare to come across a dev team nowadays when it comes to modern games. So it's like, okay, you hear what the community is saying, even if Riot isn't going like in a very fast direction with it. They hear what we're saying about the game. They hear the problems we have, and they are addressing them. Which is more than I could say about, I'm going to name drop companies. Arc System Works dropping patches that do a bunch of bullshit. They throw darts at the fucking dartboard for fun. Capcom dropping one patch a year, which granted, their patches are okay for the most part. They're like decent, but they're not consistent, and they're not necessarily of the same level as a Riot patch. Do I even need to explain Tekken Season 2? Like, there are a lot of games. Oh, the City of the Wolves not getting a patch for a year, by the way. So, I think
we got AI.
Like, yeah, we got the AI trailer though. Shout out AI Terry, I guess, bro. So I think Riot is definitely taking a lot of strides to do better, and I think this is just a common trend with Riot in this game as well. They are doing a lot of things to not only improve the game itself, but the ecosystem around the game that other companies are not doing. They're providing more for tournaments themselves. They're just generally listening to community feedback constantly, keeping in touch with the community a lot, which I think is good. Granted, there are some things I don't necessarily agree with, cough cough playtest, but for the most part, Riot just listens to people better than most other fighting game devs right now. And I think that's an incredible strong suit when it comes to this game and its potential longevity in the future.
Word. Well, we'll have new guides up for these characters for the new patch here on the channel, so stick around and watch some of the other game show content and guides that we have up as well, featuring all the players. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next one.